This conference will now be recorded.
And now it's recording.
Okay,
Please start, sir.
sure. Just- You can see my screen, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, right. So I was talking about orders, and sometimes we load these kind of information. Now, for example, this if condition, right? If ship method ID is equal to 1, online is equal to store. So this is something that we can do it. If I want ship method ID, so it has two values. It has 1 and 2, right? So it is online or store. For example, I have uh, in this table, I have special offer ID. In special offer ID, I have 10 values. Now, suppose I want to pass 10 values to this by if condition 1 to 10. If 1 is X, if if it is 1, then I want to pass a text value. It becomes a cumbersome challenge, right? So to write a very complex if condition. Now, the other way to do it is maybe I can do a left join. So for example, I have territory ID over here. I have a territory table in my QED, right? If I just want the territory name to be appended over here, then I will have to do a left join, right? So there are different ways that I can do it. For example, if I want to bring in territory ID, so in this I don't need any field. I just need the name field, so that I can put the territory name over there. So I can do left join, correct?
Correct.
If I do left join, territory will be there. Now what happens sometimes, left join becomes too costly. For example, this territory ID, left joins are always considered costly, not only in Qlik. If you actually look into any querying mechanism, general recommendation is never to use joins and to have bare minimum joins in any scripting process, right? So one use case, I need territory name in this table. It is okay. The solution is do a left join. Now suppose I have tax amount, right? For every territory ID basis, suppose I have 1 to 10 territory ID, I can for a, if I define a table like this, for example, so we'll define territory ID new tax. So I'll say new tax. What I want is for every territory ID, I will define a tax percentage over here. I want this tax percentage to be applied to the territory ID. What I mean is, if it is 10%, that means this tax amount should be increased by 10%. That is 1 plus or whatever tax amount plus 10% of that tax amount. So I want to apply this. Now, this is not generic calculation. It is not a random multiplication or a static same number multiplication for all territory IDs. Basis the territory ID. So if there is one territory ID, 4, basis that I want the value. Suppose I hard code it for everything. Okay. So you get you get a table like this. Over here, I have brought in as a hard coded inline table. You might get this table as an external database table or a Excel file. Okay. We will come in this one now. We'll use this. Now, in this scenario, there are two ways of dealing with it. So if I ask you to multiply tax amount with this, so do you have any idea how you could do this?
With the if the territory ID equal to my hard-coded inline ID, then it will multiply tax amount. It's tax amount.
Correct. You're right.
So
So that is the half story. So that is the half part where you're using if condition to multiply it. But what happens is, even before you do that half part, you have the full part of how do you bring in that field over here. So you need to first bring that field into this
but
table,
Azrak,
and
we
then the
can do this. But we can do this thing on dimension fields, right? When we creating the app visualization over there, we can do the same thing. Why we are doing over here in scripting?
as in where do you say? Where did you say?
When we creating the visualization where we can create master items, we can create we can do the same thing through the through in master item dimension and measure when we create any
Yeah,
field.
you're right. You can do that very well over there. But sometimes what happens, multiple this tax amount application, then you'll have to write it everywhere to do it, so that you suppose if you're using tax amount at multiple places, then every place you'll sit and write that same expression. That means every place it will use the calculation, and your CPU utilization will go high. So generally,
Okay,
how the thumb rule goes is, if you see any common repetitive things that can be done in script and which are static in nature, that means this multiplication does not change by time, right? So it is static. So once you do it, you get the new field and you do it you use that field for rest of your front end calculation. That is why we do it in the front end.
okay,
So the idea is also, I mean, over here we are trying to understand few capabilities. I just gave you a use case where you might run into a situation where you want to do something like this. So our field already has a like values. You want to multiply that. Now the two in a normal scenario, right? In a SQL scenario, first you'll have to do a left join. Okay. The left join for every territory ID, you'll get the field, right? You'll get, what will you get? You'll get this new tax field. Then you multiply that new tax field into the tax amount. You directly can't write a if condition in SQL script. That is my understanding. So, but
yeah,
in Qlik, yeah, but in Qlik, there are easier ways to do it. What I can do is I can say mapping. So this load, right, where I have two columns, I'll declare this as a mapping load. And in this field, in this table where I am using this, creating this field, what I can do is I'll show you the two-step process. First thing, if I want this field into this table, but I don't want to do a left join. So there is a code called apply map where I can say apply map territory ID. Right? I'll have to give the map name. Map name is this. Right here, I have given this, right? So let me remove this braces. I'll have to give that in single quotes, and then I'll have to give the field name. So this field name.
so you first
Okay,
mention the table name, then the then the
field name.
field name. Okay, okay,
So what it is doing is it is taking the field name. Suppose if it goes territory 1, it will take territory 1, go to this table. Okay, it will search in the first column and get the value from the second column. If it matches, if it is 1, it will get the value in 5, and I'm creating a new column under this. So right, new tax amount.
So here I have a question. You just mentioned the territory ID column name, not the another column name. So how it's getting the another field value?
See, it is like a lookup. Have you anytime worked on Excel VLOOKUP?
Yeah, VLOOKUP, I worked on that. But
Yeah,
if you apply the VLOOKUP, then you mention that on which field you are, from which field
yeah,
you want value, right? So, but you have
yeah,
already mentioned the first column name, not the second new text. So that's why I asked.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I just asked you if you understand the concept. So it is like a VLOOKUP concept. So in
Hmm.
VLOOKUP, basically what you do, you mention which field to check on, and in
Right,
VLOOKUP, the ground rule is it will always check the first column, right?
right.
It's the same thing over here. I'm mentioning territory ID. This field
Hmm.
name is belonging to this table. It has nothing to do with over here. Here I can just give terry and some other new, like I have already given a different name. So the name in this table does not matter. If I use a
Okay.
apply map, okay, so this is called as mapping load. Okay, so this is pretty much called as mapping load. A mapping load default capability or the ground rule is you can have only 2 fields in mapping load. Like in a
Okay.
VLOOKUP table, I can have multiple fields. So like answer to your question, mapping load can have only 2 fields. So the ground rule is if I pass any value, it will take that value. It will always search in the first column and always return the value from the second column. So there is
Okay.
no
So
multiple
not
columns.
required the match the headers, right? So it
No,
generally
no,
just go to the first column, find out the that ID. If it exists, then it takes the second column value.
correct. Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it is. See, what happens is apply map rule, ground rule is you can have only 2 columns over here. So you can't have a mapping table. So this is called as a mapping table, mapping load or mapping table. In a mapping table, I can't have more than 2 columns.
Okay. So generally we create this mapping table by inline, or we import from the SQL.
It is the choice.
Acha,
I'm using inline only for demo. In a
uh,
real project, you might end up using inline if it is hard coded values, or if it is coming from a table, it is coming from a table,
okay.
right? It can come from
So
a table, from a
in
Excel
real
file.
environment, yeah, in real environment scenario, it's generally coming from the table, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
All right. Now I have this orders table. I get the value. Okay. Now this is not what I want, right? I want my tax amount to multiply. So in a normal query based mechanism, first you do left join to achieve this. Once you
Hmm.
have this, then you process it. So in Qlik, you don't have to do that. You can directly take this and use it for multiplication. So basis this, you can always say, so the idea is, I mean, if you remember, this is nothing to do with Qlik. It is just to do with
Comma, I
tax
think comma.
amount. 1 plus tax amount into this as new tax amount, right? So what basically I'm doing, so whatever is the tax amount, I'm identifying the percentage change and adding it over. to the same.
So why you put the 1 plus over there?
Okay, it is
So
not
this
one.
is for the
It
percentage.
is not 1 plus. It is tax amount plus. See, what I'm doing is,
Okay.
okay, this is nothing but mathematics. So let me just explain to you here. So if I have 100, if let's say I have 50, I want to increase it by 5%. So what is 5% of 50 is 0.05. So you'll
Point
get 2.5. So what I
2.5.
do is I add 50 plus 2.5. So basically 5%, I've increased 50 by 5%. So the formula becomes D5, the actual value plus this D5 into 0.05. So this is the formula that I've applied. So whatever tax amount plus tax amount into the new percentage change.
Okay.
Now, so the idea of what I'm trying to tell you is, in a normal join, see this, what we did in the first level can be done in a join process. But in a join process, what happens is, it is always going to be a costly affair. So you'll have to always utilize a lot of CPU and the system. That's why you use apply map. What is the advantage of apply map? You can do this, right? It is not only for one table. Now you want to use the same apply map in another table. For example, here the same percentage change, I have to do it in the other territory table also. Suppose I am bringing another sales territory table. I have the value over here, right? Sales last year, sales this. So basically I need to apply the same thing for YTD and last year's sales so that I use the new tax structure, right? So if I want to compare all my data, it has to be across the same methodology. So here I can, instead of last year tax amount, I can do it for sales last year. I already have the field territory, it works. So I can say new sales last year. You can use apply map. You can declare apply map once and use it multiple times across tables. Imagine if you have to do this in a script, or you have to do it using joins. Then you have to spend, you'll have to do so many joins, right?
Right.
Right. So this way, it actually eases out a lot of things for you.
Hmm.
So apply map is a very interesting feature. So let me tell you a real use case that apply map helped me. Right? So what happened is, one of the customers, generally in a data lake scenario, you do this. So what they do is, for example, they stored a reference table. In that reference table, they had only one field. They had ID, they had description. Okay, 1 is equal to car, 2 bike, 3 cycle, 4 in process, 5 started, 6 completed, 7 shipped. So they had a reference table which only had IDs, right? It had all IDs and reference text values for it. Just give me a second. Sorry, give me a second.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Sorry, thank you. See, what real-time scenario I had is not many places you'll find this. Okay? This is something very unique that I had. Not unique.
Mhm.
It was one of the organizations which used to do it. This was earlier done to optimize storage, processing, everything. What they did was, so let's say they had something like this: product, status, uh, like source, and region. What they did was product 1, status 4, source 8, region 10. Product 2, process 5, sorry, status 5, source 9, 12. So you get the hang, right? The idea is over here, what they did was to basically manage this effectively, storage. They did a table, the actual database table, transaction table. Transaction table was stored like this. Now, if I ask you to create an actual value table using this reference table, how do you think you will do this?
Mm, so I think I used same apply map through the apply map what you
Correct.
taught
No, yeah.
like this.
Now in Qlik, you will use that. But imagine if you want to use it if you don't have apply map, in a SQL scenario, you will do
Okay.
left join on
Let's
every
yeah,
field, right?
every field, every products,
Yeah,
product status, source, and reason. If I have not that
yeah,
functionality.
exactly. So it is a very cumbersome. Because of this, so to give you a heads up, so that project failed. So for analysis, right, they wanted to do analysis. None of the products like Tableau, Power BI, nobody were able to do it except for Qlik. The reason is here I have only few records. Imagine of millions of records. Now imagine processing joins. Here I have only 4 columns. There I think I dealt with 10 columns, 10 such columns plus other columns. For 10 columns, running 10 times joins was a very cumbersome process. In the database also, they didn't want to do it at the database. This was directly from a transactional table. That is where apply map kind of Qlik shined, and we were able to do that using apply map. That is the
But
advantage of apply.
we can do the apply map functionality in MSTR also, right? There we have also the same thing. I think so.
So you have, okay. I have not worked on MSTR. So as
Okay.
far as I know, Tableau and Power BI don't have it. Okay. That's a good insight. So MicroStrategy, you can do this?
Yeah. MicroStrategy have the same
Okay.
same functionality.
Same functionality. Okay. That's great. But how is your experience from MicroStrategy to Qlik? So is what I heard
Qlik is
was
more.
MicroStrategy.
Yeah. Good.
It is a little difficult or too complicated
Yeah,
to do.
it's a little difficult, complicated, not more easier than the Qlik. Qlik have the things which are very sorted way, but in MSTR it's if you understanding the data warehouse concept very well, then you can design the MSTR data loading part also. But that part is very complicated because first we
Yeah,
design the database warehouse, then it will create again a source file in MSTR backend server. There are lots more things while creating the single app or
correct,
connecting
correct.
connecting to the tables.
Right.
Aja, one more
Okay.
request. Tomorrow,
Mhm.
I will give you some data. Can we do all the things on that data itself, so that it more easier to me to correlate the things?
Okay, fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we'll do that. No worries. Okay. Now, so this was the apply map capability.
Mhm.
Let's say another very interesting capability in Qlik is the interval match,
Okay.
right? So this is a very commonly used capability. You'll almost use in every project or most of the projects, considering like how you have. For example, I have time and I have event, right? So I have time 0, event, what event it is. Sorry. So here you can see event, shift, comment, it is start or stop. Then I have the shift time. When did it start? When did it end? What order was processed? Okay, let me just comment this for now. I'll load these two tables in memory and then we'll discuss. Now what happens? I get two tables in memory. Fair enough. So
Mhm.
the data is there. The data is not associated. What is
Right.
happening is I have event time log. What was the time and what was the event? Then I have the order. What time was the order being processed? Now, if I want to tag, okay, this event line restart at 50%. Event 2 happened at 2:23 a.m. If I go here, what I know is, okay, 2:23 a.m. what all was running, order A was running, Yeah, only order A was running, right? Now if I go to time log, 8 a.m. start of shift. At 8 a.m. what orders were running? 8 a.m. I'll have to match the time, right? Start and end time is there. I have to match them individually. It becomes a too cumbersome process. So generally when you want to match any time between a range of time or range of number, here I'm using time, it can be a range, number range. That is where Qlik has created something very interesting. What I can do is, it is a script called, it is a key function called interval match. So I'd say interval match. I'll take the keyword field time. So here I've defined the field time, right? It does not matter which table it is. When you give field, it picks up that particular field. Then I say
From
start
any
date.
table. From any table.
Yeah, it will be from, see, generally in Qlik you can have only single fields, right? So you can't have duplicate fields. So that field is defined as individual field. So when you use that field, so only that field would be used. Now that field can be in any table, and of course that field will be unique. Now what will
Okay.
happen is it will take that field 9, it will take 1 a.m. It is like a interval match is more like a lookup, but between the range. For example, it will take 4:15 a.m. It will check the start and end. So 1 to 3 does not apply. 2:30 to 7 a.m. yes, it applies for 4:15. 3 a.m. to 10 a.m. yes, it applies for 4:15. 7 to 11 yes, it applies for 4:15. So it creates that link between the start and end. So now what I'm doing is I'm doing resident load this. So basically this I'm loading it from the already loaded table. So resident load is like a capability to read a table which is already in memory. This table loads in memory, this table loads in memory. If I use resident load as a capability, right? So I'm not telling load, if you look at the script, load start and end, I am not giving from condition. I'm just giving resident load order log. So these two fields will be loaded from this table, and it will, what it will do for every time, it will match it. What basically here I'm using start and end as a time value. You can use numeric value also. Okay, so you can say, you can give a range of numbers. So if you want to match that range, you can do it. But most of the times in projects, I've seen this for time related functions. For example, you want to match which, suppose there was an order processed at 3 a.m. You want to know which employee processed it. So you can quickly, either you can match it by order ID, or you can say, okay, during this time, this was the employee that was there. So this employee has processed it. Or this was the case that happened during this time, and that's why this was the status. So you can do that. Now, I will just load this. We'll see what will happen to the data model. So a synthetic key is created. So if you see, what is happening is that interval match script is creating a new table. Okay, I'll just name this for better, interval table. Okay, so for our better understanding, I'll name this. So what has happened? So I have this table which is created, right? What does that table contain? So you see this interval table. This table will contain all the combination of that time log, right? So start and end date and the time. So it is giving that link between the time value and the start and end date value. Here it is looking a little weird, but the idea is for every time I know which start and end date it belongs to. The challenge over here is it is 3 different tables. What I would do is I would, to avoid the synthetic key, so interval table is here. To avoid the synthetic key, I will just join this table to this order log table. So on start and end date. So you have the start and end field, right? So I will do a join. In this case, I will do an inner join, because I want the values only matching in both the tables. Actually, it does not matter because I'm reading the same values over here. So it is always going to give me the matching values. So now synthetic key is gone. Ultimately, what I was able to achieve is my event log table is still intact. I have the time, event, comment, but my order log now gives me an idea that okay, order A was being processed at 1:18 a.m. The start and end was 1 a.m. to 3:35. Order A at 2:23, 1 to 2:35. Now I have a table which describes that association and tells me okay which order, what time it
Process
was.
at which
So
yeah.
if yeah, so this event line start 50%. In fact, line start 50% has happened multiple times. So you can easily now target it and understand okay during this time this was the order that was being processed. Interval match comes in handy. Like I said, when you want to check for anything between start date to end date, process start date to end date, you can use this.
Intro match. Okay. So in that case, we need to first define the interval table like you have did in the order log, right?
No, you will get this. See, here I have used a dummy data for demonstration. Generally, you always have this.
Okay.
You'll always have this in the source tables. That is where you use.
Because in call center there are calls are in every interval in 30-second intervals, right? So I am
Yeah,
thinking on that perspective on which
correct.
interval we got the most call flow on which interval. So that's why I asked.
No, no. See that those analysis and all are done. In a call center example, let's assume there was a technical glitch, right? So let's say there was system down from
Hmm.
4 a.m. to 5 a.m. Now you
Fine.
want to identify which all calls happened during that 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. So the only idea is you need to match the time, right? So there is no ID to it because
Hmm.
the system downtime is independent of any ID, right? It is just a generic logging. So in your
Hmm.
logs, it will say, okay, 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. there was system down. Now you want to find all the calls between 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. So that is when you take the call time, right? When was the call started? And you figure out, okay, 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. These are all the calls.
Okay.
Or some dates you might want to find. You want to find which are the orders that were processed during these dates. Now you can't use order ID, so you use date. So order date and you interval match it to the date. Now this table, like you asked, it can be hard coded, yes, by you, or like I said, in ideally this comes from the database or any other source. Or in the call center example, the downtime might be captured in a different database. So you can pick it up from that different database.
Hmm. Okay. Oh.
Then what we have is a hierarchy function, right? Hierarchy is a very interesting function. For example, I have I have a QED, right, for our testing purpose. I'll share this QED with you. Employee QED. Now, in this employee QED, what I have is I have employee business entity ID, parent employee business entity ID, first name, last name, middle name, and all the other details. What does this mean? So let's say I'll insert and load. see, first name is Terry, right? Employee ID 1 is not reporting to anyone. Parent employee business entity ID is nothing but manager ID. But employee ID 2 is reporting to employee ID 1. Employee ID 2 name is Terry. But if I want to know who is employee ID 1, I'll have to again come back into this field, check for employee ID 1, Ken. Same thing, employee ID 18 is reporting to 16. Employee ID 18 name is John, but who is John reporting to? 16, David. Who is David reporting to? 1, that is Ken. Right? Likewise, you can, this is how the table is structured. So this is typically HR related problem, and even in material management, right? Where what they do is they don't store the entire hierarchy of information. They store a reference kind of a information. What, like, you get it, right? So employee 2 is reporting to 274. Now in this scenario, when you want to do analysis, of course you can't keep looping into the front end, right? So suppose I say, or the requirement is, tell me who all AMI is reporting to. I want the entire chain from AMI to the CEO. I want the entire chain. So it becomes difficult. So that is where there is a very interesting function. So the same table, what I can do is I will use a function called hierarchy. Okay. So this is a very straightforward function. In this function, first field I will give is the ID field. So in this scenario, this is the ID, right? The employee ID. Second, I will give the manager ID. This is the manager ID. So this creates that loop. So the first two fields are the fields that are required for the loop. Third field is, how do I identify? I mean, I need to give, like I said, I want to identify all the reporting managers. So I will use the name of that manager. So basically I'm using the name field. Then I'm creating a specific field called reporting manager field. So it creates the reporting manager field again using first name. Right. Then I'm creating a field called path, which with a delimiter /, which will create that hierarchy. You'll understand what this is. Now let me load this. Now what I get in the front end is interesting. Let me also show you the data model. So in what Qlik does is, it in the backend creates a complete data model with additional fields. If you remember, I have loaded only these fields. You see first name once, you don't see reporting manager, but in the data model now, if you see, so many fields are there. Actually, if you see here, first name 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, reporting manager and path. So what has happened? It has created from the top, my name is X, my next reporting manager is, so Sean is my name, Peng is my reporting manager, his reporting manager is Hism, his reporting manager is Peter, Ken is the reporting manager. In this data, it automatically found 5 levels of hierarchy and it created that 5 levels of hierarchy. If you have more levels of hierarchy, it will create more number of columns. It also created a column called my immediate reporting manager, and this path, like it said, right, by giving the delimiter, you see that that path gives me the entire record of that.
Okay.
So this automatically creates that entire hierarchy table for you so that you can now work. Now somebody asks you, who is the skip level reporting of Sean? You know that it is Hazen. Who is reporting to Ken? No, Peter is intermediate reporting, then to Ken. Right.
So Ajara, we have any visualization for the hierarchy in the Qlik?
Yes, we have an org chart. So you can use an org chart. This is the latest thing. I have not used it. So let's explore that. Here. Okay, I have not used this, so I am not very sure. I will just check how to create this. But the idea is, yes, you have an org chart to do that.
Okay.
All right. I think this is what I had for today. So if you will share the data with me tomorrow, if you can share it in the today itself, I'll run through it before
So,
the session.
so on which ID I can send you that data?
You can give it to Sridevi only. She'll forward it to me. No
Okay.
worries.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Or you can ask her
So,
my.
basically, this is the I have two table, right? One for the just I am giving you the background of my data. So one is a time entry data, right, where people entries their daily time entries, how much they work on which project and how much they spent on each project, right? And one table is the HR employee table, right? So the scenario is that whenever I am loading the HR data every week, the person goes up and down, right? If any person join in last week, or it's or if some person goes uh, leave the organization, so my calculation being affected for that data, from that data. So how can I manage that calculation, even my data is updated on every weekly basis?
Okay. Okay. Not. You send the data. I'll just check and I will probably see. I think I addressed this in one of the HR projects. So I will see.
Okay.
I'll let you know. Yeah.
Okay, I sure I will send you the data.
Okay.
Okay, so you have created this.
All right. Yeah, I created this.
Uh,
So in this, we don't have to create hierarchy. I think we can use the table, but I will confirm this. I'm just checking this. So this was not there earlier. This is there only in the June, I think, April 2020. Before this,
okay.
we had to use the extension, external extension, but I don't want to use that anymore. So this is by
And one
default.
more thing, Ajra, what we have the license current, we can upgrade or we need to purchase the upgraded version for the Qlik. It's coming with the
See the
Qlik.
way? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are two. So earlier, Qlik was giving perpetual license. So what was
Okay.
perpetual license? So you buy once.
Hmm.
Suppose you bought in 2019. Okay, from
Hmm.
Jan 2019,
Hmm.
December 2019 is 1 year. If you
Okay.
had pay, so there is a annual AMC for every year. So in Jan
Okay.
2020, if you paid the AMC, then you can
Mhm.
upgrade this year, whatever versions are coming. Suppose you didn't
Okay.
pay Jan 2020 AMC, then the last upgrade that is possible for you is November 2019. After that, you can't upgrade.
Okay. So we can upgrade our tool, right?
Yeah, if you are under AMC, yes, you can do that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You need to be under AMC. See,
Okay.
which company do you work?
I'm working for the Mercer India Private Limited.
Mercer. Okay, I think Mercer and all is a big company. It should definitely pay AMC. So yeah, you should be able to upgrade.
Yeah. So I need to talk to my onshore team. So why they are not doing this? Because
Yeah,
I think they are using from 2019 itself, 19 or 2018 itself. So they need to be upgrade these tools, because if you do not upgrade these tools, how can you use the latest version and functionality, all kind of features?
true, true, true. And in fact, in last 2, 3 releases, a lot has changed.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'll connect with you tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you. Ajay.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks. Bye.